Chilling tales for dark nights.
Knuckle's Supper, written by Drew Stepek, performed here by Jason Hill. Chapter 22, Orphans. The Tims transplanted me back to my cell. I was physically and emotionally debilitated, barely able to focus in the quaint manger where I was given new life, the same question wrapped around my thoughts. Does everyone deserve to live? If so, what if the baby knew before they popped out of some drug addict's womb how shitty their life was going to be and decided they didn't want to live? They threw me back in my cell with a parting goodbye that was somewhere along the lines of, "That'll keep you in line, demon," as if I had lost a wrestling match with Fat Mac. I dumped myself into my cot and plunged the methadone and blood IV back into my arm. Delirious and exhausted, I rested my head on the edge of my pillowless bed and vomited over the edge. Herman banged a plexiglass table against the bars that separated us. "Hey, you're up," I said, spitting pigskin through my two front teeth. "Yeah, I'm up. Where did they take you? Looks like they kicked your ass again." I cranked myself upright, using my left arm as if it were a flimsy jack under a car. I rubbed my neck above and below the dog collar. Dusty skin fell on my shoulders. "Do you really want to know?" He stepped backward and plugged his nose, still trying to avoid my stink. "Of course I do." Catching a whiff of myself, I put my arm over my nose. "Are you sure you're good to stand up?" I stretched out the wrinkled skin under the collar, trying my best to straighten it out underneath the grip. Herman patted the pillow taped to his back. "I'm still jacked up, but I'm healing." "Good to hear. Can I have a pillow, please?" Delicately, as if moving with the help of an invisible walker, he scuffed across the cement to his bed and grabbed his pillow. He reached toward the bars and pulled himself toward me, then pressed the pillow through the cell. Steadying myself and mindful not to slip on my own vomit, I latched onto the IV stand and dragged it with me across my cell. I snatched the pillow from him and hugged it with both arms. "Holy shit. They gave you a real pillow." "That's lame." He pulled the pillow on his back down a notch like he was stretching out a tight shirt to cover his ass crack. "I wish that was the pillow taped to my back." He turned around and showed me his rear. The once white pillow was drenched red. It looked like he was carrying a burnt rock on his back. "So?" I threw Herman's superior quality pillow down and I put my arms under it to support my tight neck and then crossed my legs behind me. I faced him. "So, we're not vampires or anything like that." "What does that mean, fool? Of course we are." I picked some pig out from under my tongue and wiped it on the back of my jeans. "Well, we're different, but there isn't anything miraculous about us." "So, we're like super soldiers gone bad, right? That's what I always figured." I scratched my feet together. What the hell is a super soldier? Herman glanced at the operating table next to him. "You know, like we were created by Hitler's army or something." "That's even dumber than what we really are." "Look, Herman, I don't know if you want me to tell you any of this. As a matter of fact, I wish Fat Mac didn't even tell me. It's like the end of a shit mystery movie where the butler was the killer and the film was 5 minutes long." He kicked at the table. "Just tell me." Reluctant, I started delivering Fat Mac's message. We were stillborn, addicted babies that this Catholic church brought to life with some unapproved steroids. We spent about 12 to 13 years on life support with steroids and drugs to support our addictions. Then, when these assholes felt that we were ready to live on our own, they dumped us on the streets to fend for ourselves. Herman was silent. As if he were ignoring me, he repeatedly picked things up off the operating table, studied them, and put them back down. "I'm sorry," I told him. "You're telling me that we're orphans?" I wanted to turn away from him, imagining what it felt like to have a self-illusion you're a super soldier or an extraterrestrial only to have the tablecloth yanked, revealing you are nothing more than a drug-addicted orphan. I don't know what to tell you. I feel the same way. Yesterday, I felt like I was something special. Now I feel like a bum. Without responding, Herman swatted the flimsy tray next to the table, knocking all of its contents out of his cell. He paced the wall opposite me and grabbed onto the bars with both fists. "You better be careful," I advised. He shot around. "Why, Reynolds? Why should I be careful?" He stumbled for more answers like I had with Fat Mac. "What about the strength?" A side effect of the hormones and the steroids. Desperately, he continued to poke holes. I felt his dejection as he tried to reevaluate our existence to the level of magnificence. "The blood. What about the need and hunger for warm blood? Can we stop talking about this?" He bent one of his own fingers backward and then flicked the broken bone back into place. "The blood. Another side effect of the steroids. From what I understood, our organs, glands, and circulatory systems are overly active, but they don't produce any blood. Our bodies eat anything that's inside of us." His shoulders dropped with a sigh as if the glory was fading. I, on the other hand, was beginning to feel how I felt around Bate when she was curious about how I was alive. "The sun?" he asked. I didn't really touch on that, but I imagine it's either another side effect or photophobia caused by being born premature or dead. Probably. Herman began bending the bars inward, toward each other. I saw the muscles on his back flex through the transparent lining of the pillow. "The hearing?" "I don't know, Herman. I'm guessing our senses are more evolved because of the drugs and the steroids. I might have something to do with our repulsion to light. They say that blind people develop sensitive hearing." I rubbed at the blank real estate on my chest where my faction tattoo used to be. "I mean, think about bats." For some reason, that sounded too vampiric, so I revoked the suggestion that we were somehow related to bats. "Not bats, it's the drugs." He didn't turn back around. Rather, he pumped the jail bars in and out. He still questioned, though, looking for some grandiose loophole. "The healing? It has something to do with the sped-up immune system from all the steroids. Don't bother asking about your need for pot. I asked for you. And? Rather than bringing you to life by making you smoke blunts in your crib, they filled you with high doses of THC. It's a combination of overexposure to cannabis and base or sherm or heroin. You picked up all the roster shit on your own. There has to be more to it. There has to be. We're fucking vampires. Why are they keeping us here? Why are they studying us if they have all the answers, smartass? Why do they want to know more? They're observing us, aren't they? I rolled over so I was facing the back wall of my cell. They aren't studying us. They don't want to make any more of us at all. He left the bars bent and walked back to the table. Then why are we here? Why do I have pins in my brain, bitch? They aren't studying us. They're torturing us, Herman. I think they want to fix their mistake. They want us to wipe out the rest. Before you ask me another 20 questions about why we would do that, I walked over to the bars between us. We'll do it because of this. I flicked at the dog collar. This little prick will screw your head right off your neck. He gave me the finger. I'd rather die, bitch. Why? All your battle snakes are already dead except for Copperhead and those dance hall queers. I know you want to kill him. I know you hate the Mexicans. They're gonna kill us anyway. Why not use the chance to get away? Are you really considering this, Reynolds? Why? I held onto the IV stand. Wait. I felt her ID in my back pocket. Astonished, he wiped his hand across his eyes. The little whore. Who cares? I care. I brought her into this shit, and I also know I can use her as a bargaining chip for our lives. So, she's a stupid little bitch because one of us got her pregnant. If the cloth wants to wipe us all out, they're going to need to know which one of us did it so they can make sure that prick and any other mutants running around are dead. Fat Mac stood in front of our cells. "Oh, you're looking better, Cobra," he said. "Call me Herman." I didn't know if his response was a means of being difficult or if he was coming to terms with the fact that he was just another piece of street shit. Mac pulled a small notebook from his pocket and took notes to the request. "Okay, Herman." I cut to the chase. "Look, we'll do it. We would have all killed each other for drugs or territory eventually. So let's expedite the process without any more torture." Herman butted in. "What happens to us?" He pointed to his exposed skull. Fat Mac shoved his reading glasses from the end of his nose up to his eyes. "We will cover that for you." "With what?" Herman bombed back at him. "A blankie?" I increased the sincerity of my tone. "Stop, Herman." I turned to address Mac. "I think he means, do we live?" "Yes, we live here." Herman started walking back toward his cot. "Are you kidding me?" "Wait a second," I said. "Fat Mac, there's more to this." The priest started balancing a domino on his index finger, clearly hoping I shared his presentation in the office with Herman. "And how so?" "There was this little girl living with me," I started. I grabbed Bates' ID out of my pocket and tossed it out of my cell. "And?" He bent over to pick up the ID card as he cascaded the single brick down his hand like a slinky on stairs. "One of us. I mean, not us," I pointed to Herman and myself. "But one of the knucklers got the little girl pregnant." Mac caught the domino in his palm and looked at her picture. "Impossible." He threw the card back into my cell. "I swear, she gave herself an abortion a few days ago before you assholes kidnapped me. It is not possible, Mr. Reynolds. Even if enough blood were available to you in your bodies to become erect, we sterilized every one of you before we assimilated you back into society." Herman rushed back to the bars as he ripped the pillow off his back. "Assimilate? Society? You dumped us on the streets!" Quietly, Fat Mac spoke into his mic. "Lights, medium." Herman tried to cover his exposed head with his hands. Not preventing the light from singeing him, he retreated to his cot, grabbing a pillow off the floor on the way back. He shaded his face and head with it like an umbrella. "Be that as it may," Mac continued, "it is impossible for you to breed." Wait, I interrupted. "So, we were brought back to life because your lame church thinks that abortion is a sin. But you sterilized us and now you want us to kill each other because giving us life to begin with was wrong? Are you kidding me? Aren't birth control and killing also Catholic sins?" He put his notepad back in his pocket and then tossed the domino in the air from his thumb like a coin and caught it on the opposite index finger. "Put the domino away. We offered to help you, asshole. At least show us the respect we deserve for surrendering to your torture. We don't need your visual aids. Go clean up your mess. Even if the mess is, well, us." I turned around and walked back to my cot, then picked the nice pillow off my bed and shoved it through the bars. "Here, Herman, cover yourself with this." He reached his long arms to the bars and grabbed the pillow from me. "Don't get too used to it," I warned him. "I want that pillow back." Fat Mac spoke into his microphone again. "Lights off." As if he were a little boy not getting his way, Herman spit on the pillow and chucked it back at the bars. "Here, fool." "Thanks, jerk." I tossed the pillow up into my bed with my foot. I looked back at Mac. He dropped the domino into his breast pocket. "Thanks for putting away your toy." How is this going to work anyway? Max scratched the blotchy whiskers on his chin. Herman got out of bed and relaxed on the plexiglass table. That doesn't put me at ease. You trapped our asses in here to kill for you. You don't even have a plan? Oh, come on, Mac. Throw us a bone. Jesus. His scratching progressed up his face to his temple. The only plan is that you two get us in the doors, and the cloth and the girl. Herman studied his forearm across the table. What girl? Mac looked fully at him. The girl who calls herself the Habit. I do not remember her real name. The one from the TV show. Hell no! Herman yelled as he pounded his arm directly through the table, breaking it right down the middle. The next words out of your mouth better be that we get to rape and kill her, or I choose death. Now. Let's strangle Guter! Max shouted. The collars constricted. As I fell forward, I heard Herman spit up blood. He remained stoic, reluctant to back down to the priest and his weapons. At that point, it didn't matter to him whether he lived or died. He swished some blood around at his mouth and spit it at Mac. Struggling for air and trying to breach the collar with my fingertips, I pleaded with him. For Christ's sake, Herman! Knowing that Herman chose death, Fat Mac released the collars. Labefactum Guter. Herman cleared his throat while I coughed up pieces of my esophagus. Herman, we're going to kill a bunch of people. You don't have any more followers. This isn't going to ruin your street cred. Neither of us... Neither of us will have any pride in streets or gangs to lead anymore. We're orphans. Abandoned. Addicts. Who cares? I said. Continuing. Fat Mac said, You get us in, and we put the mistakes to rest. May God have mercy on their souls. Herman rolled his head, trying to fully loosen the collar. Don't care anymore, Reynolds. This is your show now. As long as I get Copperhead's traitor ass, I don't care. I got back to my feet and looked at Fat Mac. How do we know if we've killed all of them? I mean, there are a lot of us. You told me that we were all over the world. Oh, you needn't bother with the rest of the world. We only want to correct the mistakes of this parish. We have records for all of you. I built up a big ball of phlegm in my mouth and swallowed it, attempting to lubricate my throat. You do? Can we see them? I looked into Herman's cell to see if our genesis interested him. He had checked out completely. To him, it was a kamikaze mission and nothing more. He wanted to hold on to as much of the grandeur of which he was as he could. If a serial killer druggie was all that Herman was meant to be in life, then he was going to die being the greatest serial killer druggie the world ever saw. Fat Mac debated with himself for a minute. I can show you, he decided. Maybe I'd find something in my file that suggested my lineage could be traced back to cannibal kings or something. Something more than a dishonorable discharge from the land of the living that had stillborn stamped on the front of it. And if not, I could die knowing that I was going through with the suicide mission to help a troubled little girl whose only feeling of love was being raped. Good evening. This is Jason Hill, host of the Horror Hill podcast. You've been listening to a chapter from the award-winning novel Knuckle Supper by best-selling author Drew Stepek. Knuckle Supper, Ultimate Gutter Fix Edition, and its critically acclaimed sequel, Knuckleballed, are available now from Bloodbound Books. Check out the links in the video description and sticky comments below to pick up a copy today and show your support for indie horror. Also, Please consider making a donation to Children of the Night today and help end teen prostitution and human trafficking. Children of the Night is a privately funded nonprofit organization established in 1979 with the specific purpose of providing intervention in the lives of children who are sexually exploited and vulnerable to, or involved in, prostitution and pornography. Visit childrenofthenight.org for more information today. From author Drew Stepek and all of us here at Chilling Tales for Dark Nights, thanks for listening and for your support.
Chilling Tales for Dark Nights.